Good evening, everyone. I'm Julia Florence. Eastern has been rated as the #1 public university in New England for the 3rd year in a row. This recognition comes from the U.S. News & World Report in their annual review of the best universities in America. Along with this recognition, Eastern was the only public regional university in Connecticut to be included in the Best Colleges for Veterans rankings. In a recent press release, President Elsa Nunez said, quote, "Being the #1 ranked regional public university in New England is especially gratifying during the COVID-19 pandemic, as it speaks to the consistency of our services and the resilience of our faculty, staff, and students." End quote. Despite the ongoing pandemic, Eastern students are in fact being resilient in their attempts to have the best college experience during this new normal. Let's hear from reporter Lacey Wilson on a recent event that was held right here on campus.
On Friday, September 17th, the University Residential Outreach Council had their kickoff from 4 to 6 p.m. The event featured minute-to-minute games, opportunities for priority points, and great ways for people to connect with each other. It took place in front of the Burnap Crandall Lawn. UROC is the student-led governing body for the RHA from each residence hall. Members create and implement programs for residents and address concerns within the residence halls. We got to know some of the members by asking them what their favorite thing about UROC is.
My favorite thing about UROC is that when anyone asks, how can I get involved, I just go, you know what, UROC has a ton of awesome events, and currently we have Defy Gravity, there's some Jenga over there, it's just a lot of fun.
My favorite thing is that we can bring everybody on campus together so we can have some fun activities on campus.
We also heard from the hall directors about how to join UROC.
So joining UROC is super easy. You can either show up to one of our weekly meetings, so that is going to be every Wednesday in the Student Center in room 109, the one with the nice chairs. Or students can get involved through their RHAs, which every RHA meeting time is posted on our campus website, but they can also reach out to their respective hall directors.
And we also got some good information from them on how UROC has handled the pandemic.
Okay, so UROC, last year we did a lot of grab and go kind of programs, so they signed up online and then we were able to make goodie bags or whatever else it was, deliver it to the hall and then have it distributed. Or we also modified to switching to online meetings, which was really cool. We got really great attendance because people didn't have to come to the space. And then this year we're really excited to get back on the ground with our students, and we're also doing social distancing and making sure that everything is as single touch as we can keep it.
UROC has weekly meetings Wednesdays at 12 in the Student Center, and all resident students are welcome to attend. For more information, reach out to your hall director.
Okay, UROC on 3, 1, 2, 3.
The Eastern Art Gallery is now hosting their first exhibit of the fall 2021 semester. The exhibit, titled "Our Tears Are Sweet, Our Laughter Venomous," highlights the oppression women are facing currently in Iran. This gallery can be found on the first floor of the Fine Arts Building and is open to the public from now until October 8th. The Sports Center weight room reopened this past Monday while introducing new safety protocols. Students are required to wear masks at all times and sign up for a 30-minute time slot if they choose to work out. Those interested may only sign up once a day and are required to complete a wellness survey prior to entry. Both the softball field and Wyndham Club's driving range are also available to Eastern students. See your Eastern email for more details and availability. The on-campus food pantry, Sean's Cupboard, has reopened for the fall semester. The pantry provides free food to those in need in the Eastern community. Sean's Cupboard can be found in the Night House, which is located directly behind Winthrop Hall. Eastern also sponsors a Swipe It Forward program that supplies students in need with free meal swipes to Hurley Hall. Thank you to all of the students who have donated their extra swipes at the end of the previous semester. If you or someone you know find themselves with extra swipes, please consider donating to this program. After the break, John Pellegrino will be with us to share this week's editorial. Don't go anywhere.
I encourage my patients to get COVID-19 vaccinations. COVID-19 vaccines are safe and effective. Millions of doses have already been given in the United States, and these vaccines have gone through the most intensive safety monitoring in U.S. history. The results are reassuring. Serious side effects are very rare. I tell my patients if they have questions to ask me or use a reliable source like the CDC website to get the facts.
Good evening and welcome to this week's editorial. I'm John Pellegrino. 10 years ago, television was America's main source of media consumption, with 90% of households having cable or satellite TV subscriptions. But around the early 2010s, a new television service was rising, something that could possibly rattle the entire industry. That was with Netflix and its streaming service. Back then, this was a revolutionary practice at an absurdly low price. For only $9 a month, you can watch your favorite shows and movies instantly. Not only that, but you can watch from multiple devices that had a screen or internet access. You'll be able to have it on your living room TV, game console, tablet, or even a cell phone. Fast forward to today, and this idea of having multiple platforms to stream on is expected to be available with any piece of tech with a display. Not just that, Netflix isn't the only streaming service out there anymore. In fact, pretty much every entertainment company has its own dedicated service. Hulu, Disney+, HBO Max, Paramount+, all these services give you thousands upon thousands of hours of their own content at a low cost. Personally, I have services for all my media needs, which also extends to my music. I'll never have to buy a physical album or a song on the iTunes Store, just like you would 10 years ago. Now that I subscribe to Spotify, it gives me access to millions of songs, all in one app. Just recently, I found a box of old DVDs, CDs, and a few VCR tapes, which some young people might not even know what those are anymore. With the rise of these streaming platforms, it made me realize that both physical media and cable television won't be here for too much longer. In fact, it's pretty much at that point. In 2018, 90 million TVs in the US had a cable or satellite subscription. In 2021, it's estimated to have gone down to 75 million. The same losses are happening with CDs and digital album sales. In 2012, an estimated 118 million digital albums and 300 million CDs were sold. In 2020, both sold an estimated 32 million each. While those services are losing subscribers, streaming services have been rising at an incredible rate. In just the first 3 months of 2020, Netflix more than doubled its expected new subscriber numbers for this year, adding 15 million new subscribers. Disney+, which only launched in November of 2019, gained 22 million subscribers during the early months of the lockdown during the COVID-19 pandemic. The same goes with Spotify, which went from having 87 million subscriptions in 2018 to having an estimated 169 million this past year. Now don't get me wrong, I appreciate these streaming services. I use them every day and it makes things so much more convenient and affordable. But I think many can agree that watching a television series on cable and being excited for the next episode airing the next week, or going to the store and buying a CD of your favorite artist's new album feels more genuine and satisfying than having everything available at your fingertips. But this change is inevitable, just like every other media revolution prior. From VCR to DVD to Blu-ray, or from cassette to CD to the iPod, moving from one format to the other is just as expected. Who knows what will come after streaming? I'm putting my money on virtual reality. That's it for this week's editorial. I'm John Pellegrino. Back to you, Julia.
Thanks, John. When we come back, an update on the Gabby Petito case, and Louisville doctors perform groundbreaking work.
Why should young people care about the spread of coronavirus? Well, we know that people with underlying medical conditions over the age of 60 are at highest risk, but they've got to get it from somebody.
So we're asking everyone to be selfless for others so that we can protect those who are most susceptible.
Not going to bars, not going to restaurants. It all just means physical separation so that you have a space between you and others.
For more information on how you can social distance, please go to coronavirus.gov.
A developing story. Connecticut police officers were involved in a deadly car crash that occurred in Las Vegas. The officer killed was identified as Joshua Castellano, who was a passenger of a white Rolls-Royce that crashed around 4 a.m. The driver, New Haven officer Robert Ferrero, showed signs of impairment at the scene and was arrested on charges of DUI and reckless driving. The search continues for Gabby Petito's fiancé, Brian Laundrie, as her death was ruled a homicide. Multiple witnesses have been cited claims that Petito and Laundrie engaged in a domestic dispute on their vacation in Wyoming prior to her disappearance. Gabby's fiancé returned home from the vacation without her, but has not been seen for over a week since returning to Florida. This then prompted drones and a dive search to search the reserve Laundrie was heading to prior to his disappearance. Groundbreaking work is being done in Louisville. Our cardiothoracic team is one of the first to implant a completely artificial heart into a woman. The patient, a 57-year-old from Kentucky, was diagnosed with heart failure and has undergone an 8-hour surgery in the intensive care unit. The artificial heart was fully implanted into her chest and will use an external power supply to operate. You got this. Today's your day. These are just some examples of the hundreds of signs that can be found lining the streets of the Summit, Missouri. Jennifer Hussinger and her family started a project back in 2016 with the hopes of leaving the community with a positive message. What started as a fun activity to do one afternoon turned into more than 1,500 signs being made into an effort to remind others to be kind. Recent bear sightings in Oklahoma have caused a commotion among residents. The bear started in Los Angeles and has officially made its way halfway across the country to Tulsa, Oklahoma. The bear's name is Jesse Larios, and if you can't tell, he isn't a real bear. Just a man in a bear suit raising money for multiple different charities through his website. Larios plans to continue his cross-country walk and end up in New York City. After the break, Jarrett Soltis will be here in the studio with an update on the fall sports season. We'll be right back.
When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now I'm anything but lonely.
We have this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a little bit of a lot of things.
But they're all pure love.
Hello everyone, I'm Jarrett Soltis and here's this week's Eastern Sports Update. It's been a busy start to the 2021 fall season here for Eastern Connecticut State Athletics. Before the start to the season, two teams found themselves as the preseason favorite in Little East Conference between volleyball and men's soccer, while women's soccer also made noise with third place finish in their polls. A fall team for Eastern Athletics that did not get much attention was Eastern Connecticut Field Hockey, and after a 4-2 finish in their abbreviated spring season, including impressive overtime victory against Little East powerhouse Keene State, the Warriors found themselves 8th in the preseason polls, looking to prove their worth to start the season. And part of proving their worth would be a game against Springfield College last week. The Warriors, they haven't had much success against Springfield College. 0-6 all-time versus the Pride in 6 matchups, outscored 25-3 in those matchups. And early on, it looked like history was going to be on repeat as Caitlin Kemp, she would sneak one past Sarah Gallagher there, as the Pride would take an early lead at the end of the first quarter. But then Eastern Connecticut would respond nicely in an offense that's been rolling here to start the 2021 season. And that is much thanks to their leading scorer, Brianna Nolan, as Nolan would poke one through the Springfield defense there to give her 4th goal of the 2021 season, as we'll take another look at that one. Miscue here by Springfield. 4 defenders surrounding Nolan, and she has plenty of space to get the first goal for Eastern Connecticut to tie things up at 1. The Warriors were not done there yet, though. They would come back on the attack. And here it would be Sydney Collantine, point blank in front. She puts it bottom left-hand corner. Second goal for the Warriors. That would give them a lead. And for Collantine, her first goal in an Eastern uniform since the fall of 2018. That her freshman year. Now she's a senior here for Eastern Connecticut, and she would give them the lead toward the end of the third quarter. And then it would be the defense that would showcase themselves toward the end of this one. They'd only allow 1 shot on goal in the entire fourth quarter. Bryce McCullough makes a nice play there. And a real team effort defensively all day. One final push here for Springfield. They've got it in transition, but Leah Kowalski makes a nice play, clears that one out, and time would expire on this one as Eastern Connecticut. A great win over Springfield College, their first against them in program history, as we hear from our 2 players of the game after a big win.
Well, we did the same thing against Southern Maine. We were down 1-0. We scored again within 30 seconds. So I just think we tried to score as fast as we could and just keep the momentum going and keep outworking them, and that's how we did it.
Honestly, it feels great. I don't usually play forward, so up there for 30 seconds, I'm just glad I could contribute as much as I can in a different position, and I think it really helped the team's energy, and we stayed up the whole time.
Another Warrior squad has sprung out to an electric start in the 2021 fall season in Eastern Athletics, and that is Eastern Connecticut women's volleyball, who sits at 7-1 now to start. They picked up their first conference victory of the year against UMass Boston in straight sets in the Geiser Gymnasium, Last Friday night, Anna Berry would lead the way for Eastern Connecticut, connecting for 13 kills and a .500 attacking percentage. Meg Verizzi would continue her rampant start to the year as well, racking up 30-plus assist match. Multiple times she's done that this year. Junior Nayeli Cruz-Martinez was also impressive with 8 kills and 7 service aces to lead the way for the Warriors in that category. Eastern Connecticut will pick up the pace in conference play over the next week and a half, with 3 of their next 4 matches coming in the form of conference opponents, including a trip up to the Spalding Gymnasium for a big Little East Conference matchup against conference foe Keene State. As far as today in Eastern athletics, Eastern Golf picked up another win in the Brett Williamson Invitational today thanks to a signed card of a 5/76 from freshman Chris Davidson. The Warriors remain undefeated here in the fall season. And a look at a road ahead for Eastern athletics. A busy weekend, 4 teams in action, volleyball and women's soccer. They'll be hitting the road headed to Southern Maine. Volleyball also taking on Colby College for a tri-tournament up in Gorham. And then field hockey and men's soccer, both teams, they'll be home at noon and 3 p.m. respectively down at Rick McCarthy Field. And you can follow those games live through ETV Sports and the Little East Conference Network. And don't forget to follow us on our social media at ECSU Athletics, on our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, always powered by Blue Frame Technology. Julia, back to you.
That's it for this edition of ETV News. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Julia Florence. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week, Eastern.